Hey, everybody. I'm Vaughn Derderian. I'm the chair of the Oakland County Democratic Party. And as we've talked about before, we're going to be doing a series of videos that we're going to be putting up on our YouTube and Facebook channels to try and give you guys information on what's happening in your community right now. We're here this morning with leader Chris Greig, and I wanted to have a conversation with you about kind of what's going on in the community right now and the challenges we're all facing. But let's start with the most important first question. How are you and your family doing?
Well, good morning, Vaughn. Thanks for having me on. We're doing good. I'm obviously here in my house in Farmington Hills, southern end of Oakland County. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of togetherness going on right now, but we're all feeling well, doing well. Other than getting out of the house for about 2 hours, almost 2 weeks ago now, with Senator Moss to do the price gouging hotline with the Attorney General, I've been in my house and in my subdivision just taking out walks. So really taking these orders seriously and staying home to stay safe.
Great. Yeah, I mean, I will be honest, I don't think I've ever cooked as much in my life as I've done the past 2 weeks. But
yeah, I got to tell you, it's nice being married to a chef.
I am so jealous. We've been scouring our cookbooks trying to find different recipes we could make, and then finding out that like one crucial ingredient we're out of. So
yes.
Sure having a chef around the house has been this is the best time to be married to a chef. I'll be honest.
I guess so, yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what's been going on in Lansing over the past few weeks. The governor has been really trying to do her best to keep us all safe, and I think walking us through all the steps of this quarantine and getting us to where we need to be. How is that? How have you felt as a state rep, as the Democratic leader in the House, about what's been going on from the governor's office?
Well, I'm just really grateful that the governor has taken the lead on this. And, we have regular quadrant meetings with the governor. So both the majority and minority leaders in both chambers get together. And before we had our first positive case in the state, she had us in her office talking about this, talking about what she was doing in terms of organizing the task force of all the different components of state government. So her leadership from the start, before this really, went off the charts, has really, I think, helped a lot in our response to this. Now, what the governor can't do, though, is appropriate funds. So it is imperative that the legislature meet to make sure that we are passing some budget stipulations or supplementals to help fight this. And that actually is what we did do the last day that we convened as a chamber, and that was March 17th on St. Patrick's Day. And even then, we had 20 members out of the 110 members that weren't there that day. That was also the day that Representative Tyrone Carter went home that night, and that's when he first became sick and suspected that he was needed to be tested. And sure enough, when he was tested, he came back positive. So it was already in Lansing at that point too. So obviously, there's just a lot of concerns, health concerns about convening as a legislature. So we have to keep our focus on exactly what is needed to make sure that the state as a whole can respond to this crisis. So the fact that the governor has taken the lead with her executive orders, with her directives, it's been a godsend, because it's very difficult to meet as a body right now. 110 members trying to get together in the chamber in the middle of a health crisis and a pandemic that is taking a lot of lives in the state of Michigan. So I really applaud what she's been able to do.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this, but when the United States Congress had to meet to pass the CARES Act, Haley Stevens drove through the night to get to Washington so that they could vote. So there are very real physical challenges and dangers to having legislatures meet during this time. What kind of precautions is the State House taking, or would you like to see when you guys are going to get in session again to do any kind of supplemental action or to talk about extending the state of emergency?
Right. Well, the first point I'll make, though, is we've got to move state government into the current century when it comes to how you deal with these kind of crises. So we have no provisions for remote voting. for reduced quorums, anything like that, and still make sure that we keep our state government open and transparent to the public as well. So out of this crisis, we have to rethink and develop actually a continuity of government plan and really put in some provisions when we face these crises on what we're going to do, because it is a real barrier. When we convene next, and part of it depends, where we are in this crisis, we could be meeting as soon as next Tuesday to take up the extension of the emergency orders for the governor, for the governor's powers. And we're working with our Republican colleagues to be as safe as possible. We are the House Democrats are insisting on doing screening before anyone comes into the chamber. We can also space out members to make sure that we only have a few in the chamber at one time. We are keeping staff to a minimum. I'm also insisting that everyone wears a mask. We're hearing a lot about that just yesterday and today, that the CDC is recommending that everyone wear masks. So we're learning more and more about this virus as we go on. And as we learn additional precautions that should be taken, they absolutely have to be followed in the state legislature. Because think about it, we're coming into Lansing and then we're dispersing to all parts of the state. And we have to make sure that we are being as safe as possible to take up these items. Now, frankly, I don't think it's necessary for us to be there on Tuesday. The governor issued a new emergency order where she declared a state of disaster. And then she also put in a new state of emergency, and both of those are good for 28 days. I'm sorry, the state of emergency is good for 28 days. So we don't need to extend anything to the end of the month. And for Republicans to come in there and insist that we do, I think is putting us at risk right now, putting the whole state at risk again, because we disperse out. So we are having a lot of conversations back and forth. I will have a lot of members that will not be able to come to Lansing because they have symptoms, they have loved ones in the same household and that are facing serious health challenges and really can't risk coming up to Lansing. So it's a real issue right now. But I think we have to make sure that, first of all, we're doing what we need to make sure the government can continue to operate. And then we also have to make sure that we're only meeting if we have to appropriate a budget or extend powers. We don't have to do that next week. So I'm really concerned about this push from the Republican majority party that they want us to come in there. I still don't think that all of them are taking it seriously. And I know people across the state aren't taking it as seriously as they should, based on emails that have come into our offices from all parts of the state saying we should be meeting at business as usual. That mindset has got to change across the state. This is serious. 417 people have already officially lost their lives, right? Who knows how many more?
Right. One of the things that I've seen, and I can't remember where I read this, but it was that there are basically two frames of reference on this crisis. One is people who are saying this isn't a big deal, we don't need to worry about it. The other one is people who are saying, we can't believe how serious this is. We wish we would have done things 2-3 weeks ago. And I think that's a very real challenge, is that it's very hard to see this disease spreading through the community until it becomes critical and it becomes a serious issue. And I know we talked about this briefly, but Isaac Robinson, who lost his life just this past weekend, was a longtime friend of mine, and it is legitimately heartbreaking that he was, just such a wonderful person, and has lost his life, and he's not coming back. There's no way to make that fun or silly or
Right.
anything. It's heartbreaking, and I'm hopeful that we can make sure that we meet, or that the legislature meets as safely as possible.
Yeah, and I think when Rep. Tyrone Carter tested positive, and then the tragic passing of Rep. Robinson happened, it did make it more real for some of our colleagues across the aisle. So we've seen some level of concern increase, right? But it's not getting to the leadership, and so it's just mind blowing to me that we are meeting when we don't need to meet, right? And I can't say that this isn't something that we've seen all over the place, right? That people, until it really has a direct impact on them, maybe don't take things seriously or think it's an issue. And we're finding that out, in other ways with this pandemic. The importance of having healthcare, right? The
Right.
importance of having transportation to make sure you can get medical services. The importance of having earned paid sick time and having a minimum wage that you could actually live on. When we repealed the minimum wage initiative, those provisions in there, our tipped workers now, those restaurant workers, they're back to they were at that sub minimum wage. And that it causes all sorts of problems when you're trying to apply for unemployment insurance and all of that. And it's like, until people actually see the impact of not having those good policies for people in a crisis like this, that it just doesn't make sense to them. But I think we'll see a lot more discussion about those type of policies when we were through this crisis and really talking about what did we learn from it and what's some good policy that can come out of
Yeah, I'm very hopeful because a lot of the things, this is putting a lot of stress on our system as a whole, and I think it is showing us a lot of kind of failure points that maybe we spent a lot of time expecting that none of these things would ever be problems, nothing would ever go wrong. But a friend of mine he is a 1099 contractor, and when this crisis hit and he was told not to go into work anymore, a very real problem is that he just didn't know, how do I can't how do I get unemployment? What do I do when, and all of this all hit very quickly. It was almost like the entire economy just hit the brakes in a span of 3 or 4 days. And for people that are working like that haven't had the traditional safety net apply to them,
it. Right.
this has been a really hard experience. And I do hope that maybe when we get out of this, that some people on the other side of the aisle will take more seriously a lot of the policies that we've been trying to push for, literally decades now. Why it's important to have paid sick leave, why it's important that we have an unemployment system that doesn't treat people applying as if they're scammers trying to break the system.
Exactly. And one of the emergency directives too that the governor did on unemployment was, we're one of the few states that only offer 20 weeks of unemployment, and we've been fighting forever to get it up to 26 weeks like other states have, and we used to have. And then under the Snyder administration, it was reduced. But she actually extended it to 39 weeks because a lot of these jobs, may not come back, or it may take a long time for them to come back. So really talking, as you were saying, Vaughn, about that safety net, it's so important because we did really have to put the brakes on the economy and had to say, listen, obviously economic activity is crucial, but you can't even participate if you're sick. So we have to take care of public health first, and we try to balance it with the economic and the financial health as well. And right now we've got to take care of people, but we have to make sure that we're giving benefits to help them get by on the loss of income and jobs, and then we have to figure out how to revive that part of our lives. We've got the life. Now we have, when we're through the woods on health, we have to talk about the livelihoods, and it's going to require a lot of cooperation and collaboration to bring everybody back to where they should be and better.
Well, and I think that ultimately the thing that we have to be kind of trying to get people to understand is that, especially in situations like this, one of the fights that we've been fighting over the past few decades is the idea that government should never have a role. Government should never have a critical role in being a part of everybody's lives. And when we hit a crisis like this, I think hopefully people will start to see that in some situations there is no alternative but to have a government that actually does function. And even if you want it to be a small government, it should be a functional government.
Right.
And I think that when you see some of the systems that we have right now that are being put under the stress that they are because of this crisis, it's easy to see that a lot of them are not designed to be functional, or were intended to be in some ways dysfunctional. I had to apply for unemployment for my wife when she got laid off, and kind of help her go through the process. And it is really stunning how difficult and intentionally difficult the unemployment system is to
Right,
navigate.
right. It is. It really is putting a spotlight on what happens when you disinvest in government over the years. And we, as a state, we have been disinvesting in government. And now at the national level, in the last 3.5 years, we'll say, we've been completely disinvesting at the federal level too. And, just from like one of the areas that I always look at are because it was just my professional background was systems, right? And you see now that we have all these people coming online to apply for unemployment, how we're struggling with our computer systems even, right?
Right.
And but we've had that for a long time with our foster care system and some of our other healthcare systems. And that's what happens when you don't put resources into good government infrastructure and then as well as staff. So when you have caseloads that are off the charts, the ratio of caseloads to workers, and those are some of the things we need to do. But it's not only do you need a functional state government, you have to have a functional national government. Because what we're finding out now was when the national government had checked out, when the president had checked out for 2 months, the states were left to their own devices to try to get equipment, to try to get testing, to try to get reagents. And now they're actually in a competition with each other too. And that's where you need a strong national government to bring people together, to bring states together and say, how can we make sure we're going about this in the most efficient and effective manner? And that has been a void at the national level, and it's just making things difficult for every state. Thank God we've had state leaders like Governor Whitmer, Governor Cuomo, Governor Newsom come out and really take the lead on some of these and shine a light on the problem that we're having with the national government. So with the president in particular, first of all, you got to be able to tell the truth. And then you have to make sure you're getting the resources where they are. So I think their spotlight on some of these issues are helping us down the road. The president seems to be, at least every other day now, saying some positive things and real things. We just got to keep that pressure on him as well to make sure that our national government, our federal government, is also functioning at some level of competency.
I think one of the things that's been hard for people to grapple with is that this virus is essentially, it doesn't respond to PR. That there it's more or less it's just responding to laws of physics, and we have one party that doesn't want to believe that those things exist and doesn't want to believe that those things matter or that you could spin anything any way that you want it. So I think let me ask you, if you have one message that you would try and give to everybody that's out there who will be watching this video, give me your quote. What you think everybody should listen. What we would like to say to everybody who's listening.
Stay home, stay safe, and you'll save lives. It's a very simple message, and I know it's hard for us. And I've had a lot of people question some of these executive orders, like why can't landscapers be open, and why can't this be open? Why can't I go shop for a car? You can't. We have to lock down. And I know it's hard. I've done it. Like I said, I've been in this house for 2 weeks, except for to help the Attorney General one time. We have to do it to mitigate the spread of this virus. So please be that model for everyone else, and make sure that you're following all the safety precautions that have been outlined and the best science that we know today.
So when the quarantine's lifted, the barbecue's at your house, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm ready for it. Grilling and chilling in the summer at some point.
Well, my video cut out there for a second, but all right. Thank you so much for coming on with us today, and I really do appreciate it. And hopefully we'll talk soon in person.
Yeah, just the one other point too I want to make, Vaughn, is don't hesitate to reach out to your state representative. We have amazing state reps in Oakland County. We have Brenda Carter in the Pontiac area, Padma Kupa in Troy and Clawson, Mari Manugian in Birmingham, in Bloomfield. And then, of course, I cover Farmington Hills, Kyra Bolden, Southfield, Lathrop Village area. And then our amazing, and Jim Ellison, Royal Oak area, and Robert Wittenberg, Huntington Woods, Oak Park. And of course, we have our amazing senators, Rosemary Bear, Mallory McMorrow, and Jeremy Moss. Oakland County strong. And we're here to serve you. So please don't hesitate to call our offices. And we can at least point you in the right direction for some of these resources, because it is kind of crazy out
I will be totally honest. I've been so proud of all of our Oakland County electeds and the work that they've been doing. Um, this is, I can't even imagine the challenging time. A lot of people ran for office and didn't think that they would have to be in office in a time like this, but it makes such a huge difference to have people that understand what it's like to be a working mother, to be, a restaurant worker or a contractor. It makes such a huge difference to have people that are thinking about the challenges that working people are facing right now. And I'm so grateful that we have so many great Democrats in Oakland County who are representing us.
there. Oh, thanks. I'm proud of them, all of them. And you're right. We need a lot of different life experiences to get
Right.
through these things together, but we will get through it together.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Leader Greig, and
All
I
right.
hope to talk to you soon again.
All right. You in person, hopefully next time.
In person, face to face.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
If you're looking for more information, if you're looking for ways to help out in the community, we maintain a list of different charities that are looking for help on ocdp.org, our website. You can also sign up for our mailing list. We're sending out emails 2 or 3 times a week with lists of different town halls that are happening, different charities that you can volunteer with, opportunities that you have in your community. Please stay home, stay safe. This is the only tool that we have right now to protect ourselves against this virus. Please try and pay attention or check in with our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. We're going to be doing a lot more of these videos in the next few days and the next few weeks to get you guys information on what's going on around you and try and make sure that you have answers to whatever questions. If you have questions, send them to us at staff@ocdp.org or message us on our Facebook page. And if there are topics that you would like us to address, we would love to answer any questions you have and try and help you find whatever tools you need to get through this challenge. So thank you so much. If you enjoyed this and if you'd like to see more content like this, please consider throwing us $1 or 2 on our Facebook page or our website. Again, that's ocdp.org, or you can look us up at Oakland County Democratic Party on Facebook. We appreciate whatever time you've given us today. Thank you so much, and please stay safe.